noche un programa especial al filo. Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe Andrew, Duque de York. Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe Andrés, Duque de York y miembro de la Casa de Windsor, una de las dinastías más antiguas y poderosas del mundo, estuvo en México durante la Ciudad de las Ideas en Puebla. Como uno de los resultados de la visita oficial del presidente Enrique Peña Nieto al Reino Unido en el 2015, el Duque de York presentó en México el programa Pitch at Palace, que busca conectar a los emprendedores de todo el mundo con líderes empresariales, formando lazos entre la creatividad y el financiamiento. La Ciudad de las Ideas es uno de los 3 festivales de ideas más importantes del mundo, del que Ricardo Salinas Pliego es fundador y promotor. En esta entrevista exclusiva para Azteca Opinión, Su Alteza se mostró reflexivo sobre los retos de un mundo cambiante y las políticas proteccionistas que se enfrentan a la globalización. También habló de sus hijas y sobre el mayor símbolo del Reino Unido, su madre, la reina Isabel II. En esta ocasión, no como súbdito, sino como hijo. Hoy, al filo, Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe Andrés, Duque de York. Bienvenido a México, Su Alteza Real, Príncipe Andrew, Duque de York. Gracias por platicar con nosotros.
Thank you very much too.
Acabamos de ver su conferencia, por primera vez la presentación de este gran proyecto de Pitch at Palace, que le da la oportunidad a muchos jóvenes y no tan jóvenes. ¿Cuál sería, en su opinión, la receta para que los emprendedores triunfen y tengan éxito?
Ooh, that's a really challenging question to answer. But in many respects, it's to do with passion and belief and the ability to be able to execute on those 2 things. But in order to have that passion and that belief, you need to have the idea. Once you have the idea, then it is a matter of those 2 emotions coming to the fore and actually deriving and delivering on that. So those are the 2 things that you need most of all once you have the idea.
Y desde su perspectiva, y a través de esta iniciativa de Pitch at Palace, ¿cómo ve el Reino Unido a los emprendedores mexicanos?
Well, as far as Mexico is concerned, the reason that Pitch at the Palace is here is because of a conversation that took place during the state visit of the President of Mexico to London in 2015. And in those conversations, we recognized that there was a hugely entrepreneurial society here in Mexico, and more broadly, up and down this part of Latin America and America, or the Americas. And so we decided that we would come here and see what we could find. And I think that, as you've seen today, there are some very brilliant young people and not so young people delivering on ideas that they have, and delivering it with passion, with humor, and engaging a large audience, and have done so in a way that I think is really encouraging and shows to other young people or people who may have ideas that they can dream and the dream could be a reality and it's not that difficult to achieve.
¿Pero qué cabida tiene el poder de las ideas y la perseverancia de los emprendedores en un mundo que se debate entre la globalización y el proteccionismo, entre lo individual y lo comunitario?
I don't think that the global world is going to change a great deal. There are protectionist pressures on everybody. But with many things, if you protect, you gain some, but you lose others. And if you engage in a global trading system, then on the whole, not only does the consumer gain most, but actually probably the workforce gains most, because as long as you are prepared to accept change in the jobs and go through and continuously train and retrain, then I think that there's a possibility that protectionism can be overcome. And again, these protectionist tendencies are, as it were, people who can't accept change. And change is something that we all have to accept. 15 years ago, if we were having this conversation, we wouldn't be talking about the technology that has been demonstrated this afternoon, because it hasn't been invented and it hasn't been thought of. And the world has moved on. The world has changed. Many of the businesses that we have seen today, many of the ideas that they have solve not just local problems, but solve global problems. So there's the other side of this protectionist coin, which is that there are people here who have got ideas that have deep and meaningful consequences and benefits to people in other parts of the world. Now, do those entrepreneurs today build those ideas and build those businesses just for their own market? No. They are looking at where it is going to have the greatest impact on changing people's lives. So there's a balance to be struck, but on the whole, I think that the generation of entrepreneurs today are more focused on solving world problems or global problems, using their ideas, which, as it were, not necessarily defeats, but it diminishes the need for protectionism.
Usted habla de factores clave, como la educación y la tecnología. ¿Qué papel juegan en el desarrollo de estos jóvenes?
Again, you ask a very interesting question, because technology is going to be very disruptive to many of the businesses and the jobs that are out there today. Again, I come back to the point about we are trying to solve many of the problems, not only locally, but also because they solve a problem locally, they will solve a problem more globally. And so technology, the science, the engineering is all about creating the opportunities to make change. And in some cases, these changes are going to be good for the environment. In some cases, they're going to be good for the consumer. And in some cases, because they are going to be so revolutionary, they're going to change the way that we think about the jobs that are available out there today.
La comunicación masiva es parte fundamental de esas pequeñas revoluciones que mueven al mundo.
Social media has a part to play today in so much of what we do. There is conventional media that you represent, and then you yourself will be applying social media on top of what is going on. So they are complementary activities. They do not destroy each other. And so it's a matter of how you use those media forms that is actually so important. Some people do it much better than others. And some people have followings that other people wouldn't give their a fortune for. But in many cases, I think that social media is an adjunct, an additive to media, rather than necessarily something on its own.
El Duque de York tiene dos hijas, las princesas Beatriz y Eugenia, nacidas de su matrimonio con Sarah Ferguson. Ellas son muestra del espíritu contemporáneo de la realeza británica.
I've been very encouraging to both my daughters to take on the challenge of doing something entrepreneurial. I have one daughter who works for an art gallery and is doing very successfully at that. I have another one who is more entrepreneurial and is starting to follow her own routes and her own ways through. She's got a background in finance and a background in business development, and she's pursuing her own career in those lines, and I will give her all the encouragement that she needs. In the 21st century, we are going to need two different types of people. We're going to need entrepreneurial people who are going to, as it were, lead on developing new technologies and new ideas. But we're also going to need the people around them who can deliver the business support, so the business process. And so there are two types of people that we need to encourage, not just entrepreneurs. We need the business processes, so the people who can actually run a business. And sometimes they're not coincident. They need to be two different people. So we've got quite a lot to do. And so it's very interesting that you should ask about the girls, and they are pursuing pretty much what I've said. One of them is doing the business process, and the other one is being the entrepreneur.
Quisiera que me platicara de las fortalezas de la reina Isabel, su madre.
Oh, very simple. Consistency. That's all it is. She has been consistent throughout the entire time that she has been on the throne.
Su Alteza Real, gracias por haber platicado con nosotros y que siga disfrutando de este nuestro México.
You're very kind. Thank you very much indeed for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.